Hola clase, hoy vamos a mirar y estudiar la lección 8.3 que son comparisons. If you want to follow on in the textbook, we're on page 281 a 283. Alright, so let's start with this PowerPoint. So here it tells us that both Spanish and English use comparisons to indicate which of two people or things has a lesser, equal, or greater degree of equality. For instance, menos interesante, you see the English there, más grande, o tan sabroso como. These are a few examples. So comparisons of inequality, we use más with an accent mark for more, or menos before the adjectives, adverbs, and nouns, and then que after them, right? So this is the structure. You have either more or less, más o menos, plus the adjective, adverb, or noun, plus que. So let's see some examples of that. So also, but firstly, we see that in English have some shorter adjectives. We add like er, like taller, and those things don't exist in Spanish, right? You have to say more tall, más alto, okay? So look at these examples. Los bistecs son más caros que el pollo. So and bold is the comparison. Estas uvas son menos ricas que esa pera. All right? That's examples with adjectives. With adverbs, we say me acuesto más tarde que tú. Right? So you're comparing an action, a verb, right? Luis se despierta menos temprano que yo. And there, of course, you have the English. And then with nouns, Juan prepara más platos que José. So platos is the noun. Susana come menos carne que Enrique. Okay, so again, the noun. So here we see noun, noun, tarde, temprano are adverbs, y caros y ricas are adjectives. Okay, here are a few examples. La ensalada es menos cara que la sopa. Right? So this again is an example with an adjective. El pollo es más rico que el jamón. Again with an adjective, rico. So when it involves numbers, we use de instead of que before the number, right? So hay más de 50 naranjas. So we don't say hay más que 50, right? Llegamos en menos de 10 minutos. So anytime you're saying more or less, and then it's about a number, any sort of number, right? So minutes or whatever, use de. So with verbs, this construction is used to make comparisons of inequality, right? So we have the verb plus más menos que. So mis hermanos comen más que yo, right? So this is, and you can see the English, more than I do. Arturo duerme menos que su padre, right? So there it's just saying directly of the person. So now with comparisons of equality, we use this to make, these are the structures we use for equality. So we have tan plus an adjective or an adverb plus como. Or we have tanto, tantos, tanta, tantas. This is an adjective. We'll get into that soon. Plus the singular noun or the plural noun plus como. All right, so if it's a singular noun, it'll be tanto or tanta, depending on its gender. If it's a plural noun, it'll be tantos or tantas, again, depending on its gender. Here are a few examples. Es tan guapo como yo. Like, is he as handsome as I? Aquí vienen tantos mexicanos como extranjeros. Do as many Mexicans as other foreigners come here? So take note here that unlike tan and tanto, or note that unlike tan, tanto acts as an adjective and therefore agrees in number and gender. This is what I was just explaining. So estas uvas son tan ricas como aquellas. So here there's nothing because we're using tan. However, yo probé tantos platos como él. So here the tantos has to agree with the noun. So these can also be used for emphasis rather than to compare with these meanings. So tan can mean so, or tanto can be so much, or tanto so many. So look at these examples. Tu almuerzo es tan grande. But here we're not comparing anything, right? So comes tantas manzanas. You eat so many apples. Comes tanto, right? You eat so much. Preparan tantos platos. So those are other uses, but those aren't really comparisons. So comparisons of equality with verbs are formed by placing tanto como after the verb. So these are, you don't put anything between them, right? So it doesn't change, and tanto doesn't change in number or gender. Okay, so this is different than the other one. So look at the examples. Tú viajas tanto como mi tía, right? So the tanto como, you don't put anything in between. It's as much as. Ellos saben tanto como mis hermanas. As much as, right? So that's a fixed phrase. Here are a few examples. Sabemos tanto como ustedes. You see the English there. No estudio tanto como Felipe. And you see the English there. So there are some adjectives that have irregular comparative forms, right? So here on this side are the adjectives, here are the comparative form, right? So to say good in Spanish, you say bueno, but the comparative form is mejor. You don't say más bueno. Like in English, right? You say good, you don't say more good, or you say better, right? So that's like English too. Malo goes to peor, right? You don't say the most bad, you say the worst, just like in English. Grande goes to mayor. You don't say más grande to refer to age, right? Más grande would be size only, okay? Pequeño can be young, but the comparative form is menor, okay? Joven, for young, younger, we say menor. So these two are the same. So menor and menor here. Viejo and mayor, right? Just like older, okay? So keep that in mind. So when grande and pequeño refer, this is a little bit more on that. When grande and pequeño refer to age, the irregular comparative forms mayor and menor are used. However, when these adjectives refer to size, the regular forms más grande y más pequeño are used. I just mentioned that a second ago. So yo soy menor que tú, right, younger, but pedí un plato más pequeño, like a smaller dish. A few examples here. Nuestro hijo es mayor que el hijo de los Andrade. All right, there's the English. La ensalada de Isabel es más grande que esa. Okay. Alright, last slide. The adverbs bien and mal have the same irregular comparative forms as the adjectives bueno and malo. Okay, so just like for bueno and malo we say mejor and peor, same for bien and mal. So Julio nada mejor que los otros chicos, so here it's acting as an adverb. Ellas cantan peor que las otras chicas, right? You wouldn't say más mal. Or here, because here if you want to say Julio swims well, right, you say Julio nada bien. But you wouldn't say Julio nada más bien que. You say mejor que. Alright, so let's close this up and I have two activities for us. We'll start with this one. So as usual, you know the drill. I'll say pause and you look for the answer. So let's look, or you think about the answer, right? So let's read the instructions. Elige la palabra adecuada para completar las oraciones comparativas. And again, if you want to follow along on the pages, it's 281 to 285. Okay, este camarero fue más, menos o tan simpático que aquel. No vamos a darle una buena propina. Alright, pause. And we're back. So here I would say menos. And the reason why is because they say no vamos a darle una buena propina. So we're not going to give him a good tip. Meaning that he was not as nice as the other one. Okay, so menos simpático. Alright, so you really have to understand the context here to get the answer. Let's look at número 2. Este restaurante sirve más blank 50 platos tradicionales. Tienes que venir a probar alguno. So would we say este restaurante sirve más de 50 platos, sirve más que 50 platos, o más tantos? Pause. And we're back. It would be de. If you remember the slide with numbers, we use de, right? Más de 50, because this is a number. So that's across the board. 3. El desayuno que dan en la cafetería de la universidad es malo, pero el almuerzo es malo, mayor, peor. Pause. And we're back. It would be peor, worse, right? Lunch is worse. Bien. 4. La langosta sabe Tanto rica como siempre. Felicitaciones al dueño del restaurante. Pause. And we're back. So here it would be tan rica because it's with a adjective, right? La langosta sabe tan rica como siempre. Because this is not a noun, it's an adjective. Tan. Okay. 5. Enrique tiene mucha sed. Ya pidió 2 aguas minerales más. And we say como yo, de yo, que yo. Pause. And we're back. We would say que, right? 2 more waters than have I, right? Than I have. Que yo. Muy bien. Now don't let this dos throw you off. Remember that the number has to come afterward. Right? So just because it says dos here, you wouldn't say de, right? You never would say de yo. And the de has to be, right after the de has to be a number. Okay, número 6. En la boda, Laura comió más, mejor o tantos entremeses que Víctor, pero no tantos postres. Well, let's do this one first. So Laura comió blank entremeses que Víctor. Pause. And we're back, so it would be tantos, because it has to agree with the noun, entremeses. 8 as many, right? Hors d'oeuvres as Victor. Pero no tantos postres. Pause. And we're back, como él, right? But not as many desserts as him, right? Sí. Okay, muy bien. And then we can look at the answers to make sure we got them right. Yes, como más. Oh, I think I said tantos there, right? So I think we got this one wrong. Laura comió. Ah, yeah. Right, so it would be más entremeses. Excuse me, yeah, because I didn't see this que. Yeah. So más entremeses. So careful there. Okay, muy bien. All right, so we'll close this one and we'll do one more activity. All right, so this one we have to plug in the comparative word. So escribe la palabra que completa cada oración. Same drill. Here we go. Martín es tan alto blank Luis. Pause. Think about it. And we're back. Tan alto como Luis. Okay? Across the board. Número 2. Luis es menos alto blank Vicente. Pause. And we're back. Que, right? Menos que. Tan como, menos que. Vicente es más alto blank ambos. Pause. And we're back. Que, más que, right? Menos que, tan como. Bien. 4. Mirta es menos atlética blank blanca. Pause. And we're back again with que, because we have the menos. Muy bien. 5. Petra es tan atlética blank Mirta. Pause. And we're back. Como. Just like we had in number 1. Tan como. Tan como. El profesor Palafox es mayor blank la profesora Porter. Pause. And we're back. What do you think? Que. Mayor que is older than, right? Muy bien. 7. Pero la profesora Porter tiene blank clases como él. Pause. We're back here. It has to be tantas. And it's tantas because classes is a noun, right? So as many classes as him, right? And it has to agree in both gender and number. So it's tantas plural and as because clase is feminine. 8. No, el profesor Palafox tiene más clases blank ella. Pause. And we're back. Que. Más que, right? Just like up here. Más que. Bien. 9. Ricardo es más bajo blank Alma. Pause. And we're back. Que again. Más que. Just like here. Más que. Finalmente, número 10. Soledad tiene menos blank 20 años. Pause. Remember to think about the rule of numbers. And we're back. Menos de. Because 20 años. Muy bien, clase. Buen trabajo. Hasta luego.